this is Shelley Stern-Grace with Microsoft, and I want to welcome you to today's discussion of Civic Chat, Networking Our Neighborhoods, and you can find us on meetadvisors.com. Our guest today is Dr. Toni Irving, and Toni is the Executive Director of Get in Chicago, one of our key violence prevention programs in the city. So Toni, welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks
I know you're
for having me.
super busy, so we appreciate your time.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. And tell us about Get in Chicago.
So Get in Chicago is a public-private partnership. It's a $50 million fund that's focused on youth violence reduction in the city of Chicago. We zero in on the communities that are hardest hit by poverty and violence. Right now we're funding 7 communities in particular, and those are Roseland, Inglewood, West Inglewood, South Shore, Humble Park, North Lawndale, and Austin. And we really try to get into the communities and think about how we can have impact community-wide and not just in specific pockets.
That's terrific. So obviously this has been a key issue for a long time.
For sure.
Lots of programs. What is different about Get in Chicago?
So really, Get in Chicago is focused on data. It's focused on outcomes. What we know, and previously I was with the state, and we've put, billions of dollars into this issue with very little ROI. And so there isn't really enough data that tells you about what's most impactful. So at Get in Chicago, we only fund those organizations that have evidence-based practice, and then we evaluate them to see what the impact is. And at the end of the day, our goal is to both reduce violence, but then also to be a service to other funders to say that these are the kinds of programs that are most impactful, and these are the community-based organizations that are best equipped to carry them out with fidelity.
Which really helps a lot of the funders, the foundations and the corporate funders and other funders, to know where to turn to, because there's so many people that are focused on this and asking for resources. So that's a big help.
And you know what, the other thing is that no funder is just funding one organization, right? And so, if you talk to the CEO of Aon, they're putting out hundreds of millions of dollars, they're getting all kinds of requests, and they need some help trying to figure out which ones to prioritize.
Exactly. How did you prioritize the various neighborhoods?
Actually, we did a real evaluation, looking at the crime data, aggravated battery, homicide, shooting, in conjunction with the concentration of youth. We ranked all 77 communities based on violence, and the actual calculation is on our website. And then we decided that we would focus on the top 18 communities. In our first couple of RFPs, the 7 that we're focused on are the ones that ended up having the strongest capacity. That's where we got the greatest response from community-based organizations. So that's why we've started there.
That sounds terrific. And I'm so impressed with the focus on data and the analytics and really focusing on the outcomes. I think that's absolutely terrific. So if you can spend just a couple minutes, I know you've got a large number of programs, but I think you have 3 really big ones that you're focusing on over the summer. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Well, we actually, we just made an announcement last week. We have about 10 programs that are just for the summer, because summer is when violence spikes. And then we also have renewed a bunch of our programs from last year, so we just put out $4 million. But they're,
and what does put out $4 million mean? People are going to be listening this way to hear what that's all about.
So we just gave, between those 10 summer programs and renewing, and I can't quote exactly, but about 5 renewal programs. They're all posted on our website at getinchicago.org. The grants total $4 million. So we also have, just for this year alone, $5.5 million in grants. So 2 weeks ago, we announced the winner of our design challenge, and that was Children's Home and Aid. And we've granted them $1 million toward this project they're doing with
great organization,
Youth Advocate Program, absolutely. And so some of the things that we're excited about in particular this summer is that we have a youth-led youth tech program, and that's in collaboration with Smart Chicago. And instead of, there's so many different things that a young person can do, but because tech is really the fastest growing industry, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that by 2020 we'll have more jobs than people to fill them. And so we focused in on 5 communities, and we're providing free coding classes for 6 weeks all day to our at-risk youth. At the end of the program, they'll get to take their laptop home.
I heard about this last week.
And so we're really excited about it, because it really has a 2-pronged effect. That one, that's going to be a boost to their resume, that that leg up that it gives them in the competitive world, and we're thinking about long-term careers for our young people. But the 2, they'll all come out of the program actually able to design a web page.
Right.
And so what does that do for their entrepreneurial skills?
Right.
That there's all sorts of ways to hustle, but what a productive hustle, that there's so many community-based organizations and individuals that need and want web pages, and they can do this
That's
work.
true. So they can both get a job with these skills, or they can use those skills if they decide to start their own business.
Exactly.
So that's terrific. What are a couple other programs?
So, again, focused on the sort of increased issues of the summer, we have put out an RFP recently for our violence response initiative. And so what we want to do in this respect is that when shootings happen, every Monday we see the news about the shootings that took place over the weekend. And of course the police are doing a great job getting there and trying to address and follow up. But then what about the community that are left in the aftermath?
Right.
What about the people who have witnessed it or experienced it or have even more great fear as a result? And so we want to bring therapeutic services into the communities, bring them to the people where they are, to help them sort of recover. There's real traumatic stress that happens as a result of living in high poverty, high violence communities. So we're really excited about finding some good partners to work with to launch that program this summer.
This is then an RFP where you're looking for the community-based organizations, nonprofits who might have the resources and they can compete for the funds.
Exactly.
Terrific. That's terrific. Okay.
So that's something that we're also excited about. And then coming up in July, we're doing we do this regularly in the community, is that we try to really keep ourselves connected to the communities themselves and what's going on there. And so we're hosting a capacity building workshop.
Terrific.
Where we're focused on the organizations that provide therapeutic services. We'll have some key people, psychiatrists from Lurie's and other places that will be on a panel and talk about things around dosage, about the delivery of it, about things that really help an organization think strategically about their program to be able to deliver the practice in the best possible way to get the best outcomes.
So some thought leadership there, and really connecting them to some strategic thinkers in their field.
Exactly.
That's terrific.
We focus on 3 particular areas in general, and we do some other things as well, but they're mentoring programs, parent leadership programs, and cognitive behavioral therapy programs. And so for each of those, we host these kinds of thought leadership to kind of create a learning community, and so that people can sort of share and exchange and sort of create a continuous quality improvement.
That's terrific. How are you connected to Chicago Public Schools in this process?
Well, interestingly enough, our board member, Jesse Ruiz, has recently been appointed the interim CEO of CPS. And even prior to that, he was on the board. And so we actually are really excited. We have another program that's coming up but not just the programs itself, but so much of what we do in terms of the evaluation requires getting CPS data.
Exactly.
And to understand, so for instance, after this program, the young person had 3 disciplinary code violations, but now they don't have any, or they were absent.
Their attendance gone up, or something like that.
Exactly, grades, all of that. So we've actually, in our mentoring programs that are going to start in the fall, we've been working collaboratively with the research team, John Barker and those guys at CPS, to make sure that we develop the program in a way that is always mindful and respectful of youth and their privacy, but then getting the data that's necessary in order to be able to understand the impact of these programs. And so we are excited about working collaboratively with them, but also to figure out what schools to be in.
Right, exactly.
They have
going
lists.
even deeper into the communities, right.
So within the communities, we'll say, we get the list from CPS that say, these are the schools with the most disciplinary code violations, these are the schools with the most attendance issues, and we overlay it, and then we say, these 4 schools that are both in Austin are the ones that we want to be in, and so forth in every community. So that's another way that we take our cue from CPS, because all of this is about being in alignment with the city as well in order for it to have longevity.
It's hard to say you're excited about an initiative that is focusing on violence prevention, but everything you've just said gets me very optimistic and very hopeful that it's almost like you've got this data-rich heat map of really where to target the hot spots. The organizations, you're working with the organizations on the ground that really are there day in, day out, and you're providing some tremendous resources and thought leadership. Toni, you're doing the Lord's work. I just really commend you, and I want to thank you so much.